There's a sound that anyone who grew up in the 80s or 90s knows in their bone marrow. It's the sound of a quarter sliding down a metal slot. It's mechanical thunk of the machine accepting your tribute. It's the insert coin text flashing in a rhythmic neon invitation. For many of us, man, that sound was more than just a transaction. It was a portal. And the man who helped build that portal, the man who taught us how to stand your ground in a digital alleyway, has just played his final credit. On April 2nd, 2026, the gaming world lost one of its fathers, Yoshihisa Kishimoto. It's not a name many people are even familiar with, but he is the creator of Double Dragon and Kunio-kun. And unfortunately, he's passed away at the age of 64. Now, we talk a lot on this channel about games when games were actually games, and price hikes and tech specs and the future of gaming. We talk about the grit, the challenge, and the soul, the things that define this industry. Today, we're not just talking about a developer, though. We're talking about a guy who really is someone who should be way more known, way better known. A man who practically invented the beat 'em up. We're talking about a guy who took his own life, his own heartbreaks, and his own fights and turned them into pixels that would change the world. Pull up a stool, guys. We've got a lot to talk about. This is the story of Yoshihisa Kishimoto. See, most legendary creators, they start with a computer science degree or a love for puzzles. Kishimoto, he started with a chip on his shoulder. Before he was an industry luminary, he was a student who lived the life he'd eventually program. He famously said that Kunio-kun series was born from his own high school years. He wasn't a perfect student. He knew that it would be hard, what it was like to be in a scrap, and he knew the tension of a schoolyard rivalry. And, perhaps more importantly for his creative spark, he knew what it felt like to have his heart broken. After a rough breakup during his school years, Kishimoto found solace in two things: martial arts and the cinema of Bruce Lee. He watched Enter the Dragon and saw something more than just a movie. He saw rhythm in it. He saw flow, a way for one man to stand against the world. And he started his career with Data East, working on a laserdisc game. Some of them like Cobra Command and Road Blaster, a classic. These were technical marvels for their time. But Kishimoto wanted something more visceral. He wanted a player to feel the impact. And in 1986, after moving to Technōs Japan, he gave us Nekketsu Kōha Kunio-kun. In the West, we knew it as Renegade. It wasn't just a game. This was a statement. Before Renegade, fighting in games was usually a one-on-one affair, static and rigid. Kishimoto introduced the one against everybody dynamic. He gave us the ability to move in four directions, to grab an enemy by the collar, and to deliver a knee to the gut that felt heavy. He took the Banko culture of Japanese schools, the tough guy leaders with a sense of honor, and turned it into a global phenomenon. But as successful as Kunio-kun was in Japan, Kishimoto was looking at the horizon. He wanted the world. If Kunio-kun was the spark, If Renegade was the beginning, then Double Dragon was the explosion. In 1987, Kishimoto took the DNA of his high school brawler and evolved it. He realized that if fighting alone was fun, fighting with your best friend was going to be a core memory. He moved the setting from schools of Japan to a post-apocalyptic, neon-soaked street of a fictionalized New York. He traded the school uniforms for blue and red denim martial arts gear. He took the one against many concept and added the belt scroller mechanic. Now, this way, the world would move with you. You weren't just clearing a screen. You were on a journey. Kishimoto called Double Dragon his masterpiece, and he was right. From the minute that you see that opening intro and you just see those bad guys come out of nowhere and just bam, hit the girl for no reason and just take her away. I mean, that was an instant oh my god moment for me. Even as a kid, I was like, oh, we're gonna go save her. And think about the impact of that game. The co-op play wasn't just a feature, it was the soul of the experience. You and your brother or your best friend standing side by side against a Williams arcade machine and throwing, I don't know, your enemies over your shoulder and fighting the towering Abobo. It was the first time a game really understood the buddy co-op energy of 80s action movies and put that into your hands. And then there was the ending. If you played Double Dragon to the end with a friend, you remember the shock. Because after defeating Willie, the boss, and his machine gun, the game didn't just give you the girl. It made you fight each other for her. It was a stroke of genius. A narrative twist delivered through gameplay. It was Kishimoto's way of saying that even in a world of heroes, the heroes might have to fight each other with an edge. I love that. And Kishimoto didn't just dominate the arcades. He understood the importance of the living room, because the home ports of his games are the stuff of legends. The NES version of Double Dragon was different. It had an RPG light leveling system because the hardware couldn't handle the arcade complexities. So they made it its own thing. Instead of complaining about the limitations, Kishimoto and the team, they innovated. It was an all-time classic. And then came River City Ransom. See, in Japan, it was just another Kunio-kun title. But in the West, it became a cult classic that arguably invented the action RPG hybrid that we see everywhere today. You weren't just punching guys, you were eating sushi to boost your stats and reading books to learn new techniques. It became part of our lexicon, the word barf. This was the Kishimoto touch. He never wanted to do the same thing twice. He was obsessed with being the first. The first to do simultaneous co-op, the first to do the belt scroller, the first to blend street fighting with stats. Even when he moved into the world of professional wrestling, with WWF Superstars and WWF WrestleFest, you could feel his influence. The sprites were huge, the hits felt like they hurt, and the one against many energy was translated into the chaos of the squared circle of the 90s. And these remain to this day some of the best wrestling games ever made because they were built on the foundation of a man who understood the feel of a fight. Success in the gaming industry is a double-edged sword. As Technōs, the company, grew, so did the pressure. Kishimoto eventually left the studio that he helped put on the map. He cited a desire to work on a new thing, to not just be the Double Dragon guy forever. He also felt the sting of an industry that was beginning to prioritize huge budgets with safe bets over raw creative risks. He worked under the name Plofit for years, consulting and creating independently. He stayed quiet, but he never left the craft. In 2017, he returned to his masterpiece one last time with Double Dragon 4. It was a polarizing game for some, but for Kishimoto, it was a homecoming. It used the 8-bit aesthetic of the NES era, the era where he felt the most at home, by the way, and it was a love letter to the fans who never stopped asking for Billy and Jimmy Lee. He also consulted on the modern River City games, ensuring that the new generation of developers understood the spirit of Kunio. He didn't want the games to be modernized into something unrecognizable. He wanted them to keep that spirit, the spirit of the middle ground with an edge guy. The news of his passing didn't come from a corporate press release or a cold industry headline. It came from his son, Ryūbō. Quote, "I am sorry to inform you that my father has passed to rest on April 2nd. I hope you will continue to enjoy my father's works." Think about that for a second. Imagine being the son of a legend, of the man who created Double Dragon. Imagine seeing the entire world mourn a man that you just knew as dad. Ryūbō's follow-up message is what really gets me. He said, "I'm truly delighted to learn that there are people around the world who have played the Kunio-kun series extensively and understand my father even more deeply than I do." That is the ultimate legacy of a creator. To put so much of yourself into your work, your heartbreaks, your high school memories, your love for martial arts. The strangers across the globe will feel like they know your soul. That's crazy. Kishimoto didn't just make games for us to play. He made games for us to live. He gave us a way to feel powerful when many of us felt small. He gave us a way to bond with our brothers and sisters and friends in front of the glow of a television screen. Yoshihisa Kishimoto was 64 years old. In the grand scheme of things, that's far too young. But in those 64 years, he built a monument that won't crumble. Every time you play a beat 'em up, whether it's a modern masterpiece like Streets of Rage or a classic on an emulator, you're playing a game that exists because Kishimoto had the guts to be first. He was a man who understood that news for gamers who grew up when games were actually games wasn't just a slogan. It was a lifestyle. He made games that required grit. He made games that rewarded skill. And he made games that, above all else, had a heart. The private funeral takes place tomorrow. The industry will move on. New consoles will come out. New leaks will break, and we'll be here for it. The news cycles will continue. But for those of us who remember the smell of an arcade, the weight of a joystick, the neon lights, one of those neon lights has gone out. So do me a favor tonight. Don't just watch a video, go find yourself a copy of Double Dragon somehow. Find a copy of River City Ransom. Call up a friend. Someone maybe that you haven't fought side by side with in a while. Plug in some controllers and press start. And as you walk to the right, clearing the streets one punch at a time, think of the man who paved that road for you. Rest in peace, Kishimoto-san. Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the fights. And thank you for showing us that even in a world full of thugs and bosses, we always have a chance if you just keep moving forward. Special shout out to Sergeant America for giving me the heads up about this guy's passing, the news. And like, share, subscribe, and pour one out for another one of our legends.